What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys podcast. We're the NBA podcast of the people. Your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Titus Two Shots Dominguez, and with me, as always, it's Chris the Stats Man Gorman. Hey. And also getting them shots up is the long ball Trey McCroskey. Get that, Joe. Yeah. He's ready to go. He's got the Rip 8 for his name tonight. Ooh, we got a lot to talk about. That'll be that's later though. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got some IST updates. Finally, kind of getting into the swing of this in-season tournament. We're going to talk about Chris's Minnesota Timberwolves. Is this for real? How serious do we need to take these guys? And then we'll end the show with a brand new segment from the segment king right now, Joey, with Coffin Corner. And we'll get into more of that later. All right. So let's go ahead and start it up with the look at it. He's got the hat on already.
I got a Chicago hood sweater on, but
the Minnesota hat.
Timberwolves on top.
Timberwolves on top. All right, IST. We can start here with just a general recap of it. The Eastern Group A. Currently, the Pacers are leading that one with 2-0 and a plus 11 point differential. In the Eastern Conference Group B, we got Miami up 2-0 and a plus 13 point differential. And then Eastern Conference Group C, Boston 1-0 plus 14. Over in the Western Conference, we got the Lakers at 2-0 plus 30. Oh, damn. All right. Lakers looking good. In the Western Conference B, Denver 2-0 plus 14. And in Western Conference C, Minnesota 2-0 plus 10. Obviously, so there's some teams in the middle there. We can kind of touch on some of those teams as we go. But just I want to get you guys' general thoughts. Chris, let's start with you here on this one, man. What is your general thoughts on the IST in general? Is it working for you? You're kind of liking it? Are you not liking it? The different courts, game nights. What are your thoughts here?
So I was souring. I mentioned to you guys yesterday. I'm souring on it a little bit because randomly, I guess a Tuesday night is an IST night. Tonight's not an IST night. Sunday wasn't. This Saturday is maybe.
I think it's just
I don't
Friday,
know.
Right?
Friday. I mean, they at least around the league, they kind of make it an event.
Yeah.
Is that it? Tuesdays and Fridays?
Tuesdays and Fridays, man. Chris is not locked into the IST.
I don't know, man. It's really frustrating because I mean, last night we'll get into the Warriors Timberwolves game, but just hearing that Curry is out with knee soreness.
Yeah, that was kind of weird, right?
And now he's going to reevaluate. It's maybe as a more serious thing.
Yeah.
But there's just some parts of it that I was just not excited about. I will say that with the brawl that we'll get into later and with the Grizzlies-Lakers brawl, it feels like some teams are really taking this seriously. It could just be coincidence. Also, the Pacers, I think, are going to win this whole thing. They seem the most serious team. About Miles Turner's been talking about how much he loves it. Halliburton's like, I've never been to the playoffs before, so this is kind of my version of it right now. I'm just like, okay, this team is like kind of locked in.
Reps.
Yeah, so I'm mixed on it, but yeah, that's me.
Mixed on it. Joey, overall thoughts, man?
I was just looking before overall thoughts at who we picked.
Yeah. Good idea.
In our preseason picks. Titus, you had Oklahoma City against Milwaukee.
Ooh.
Milwaukee's tough.
OKC.
I think they're already
1-2. Plus 27. They got to win some games.
Yeah. Chris had Minnesota versus Atlanta.
That looks good.
Pretty solid.
Looking decent. And then I had the Mavs against Atlanta. Where are the Mavs at? That's not looking so
Mavs,
hot.
1-2, -14, and then versus Atlanta. But Atlanta's still alive.
Yeah, Atlanta's still alive. The Mavs, though, is not looking so hot because the Nuggets are in that group. Overall, I understand the schedule. I agree with Chris that to me the schedule has been kind of the goofiest thing. It was weird that it started like 2 weeks ago, and then a handful of teams played, and then a bunch of teams didn't play for like 2 weeks, and then again, like hoping and wanting was like them all, the group stage games to all be happening at like one time, like pack them all together and make it like a big event. But overall, the competition has been better than I expected. Like Chris said, I think a lot of guys are taking this pretty seriously, considering the skirmishes that we've seen break out. And I think it does give these younger teams
I think we might have lost Joey there for a second. Yeah, I kind of agree though.
Younger teams.
Yeah, it seems like the younger teams are kind of taking it a little more seriously. But it does. I don't know. I'm kind of with you guys. I'm a little bit mixed right now. I agree with Joey. I kind of wish that schedule was a little more compressed. I feel like that would be better. But at the same time, I don't know. I still feel like the rotations are the same. Second quarter, the subs are in, so it's not really like a playoff atmosphere necessarily. I was lucky enough to be at the Bulls' first in-season game ever, great. So that was fun.
Did it feel like a playoff game at all?
No, it was very dead in the arena.
Very red too.
Very dead. It was like towards the end when it was a close game. It was definitely there was some cheering and standing and stuff like that. But it wasn't. Me and Joey had gone to the Bucks Bulls playoff game. It was a couple years back now, and nothing like that. Nothing like that atmosphere, but certainly got a little interesting at the end there. But they really did a good job of sort of making it an in-season game, at least in the building. They had like a DJ set up. They were doing like music up in the courtyard there. You got a poster when you walked in for tournament night. A lot of cool stuff like that. The court, obviously, and just some of the branding was kind of cool. But overall, I'm holding judgment until the knockout rounds. Do you guys feel like when it gets to maybe be a knockout round, it might be?
When it gets to Vegas, is that the
Vegas
thing? Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of limping to Vegas here. It feels like.
Yeah.
Though.
Joey, do you think there's maybe some
elimination? Go ahead. No, I was gonna say I feel like the elimination games will be a lot more serious. Like there'll actually be something at stake, and like you'll actually know like potentially who your opponent's going to be, or where the seedings are going to shake out, and like who's on each side. It's gonna be a little bit more juicy.
Yeah, and like I was going to ask you because you're a veteran of the World Cup and kind of some of the soccer formats. Do you think maybe there is a little bit of a learning curve here for some of the the American viewers of a group stage type thing?
Nice.
That's a good point, actually.
Because I kind of feel like people maybe just they don't understand like exactly what's happening right now. Like who's up and what does this mean? Because I know
it's so pretentious.
It does.
You don't understand.
But I know I'm kind of curious about that because like on No Dunks today, I think it was Trey Kirby was talking about. He was getting into the point differential and realizing certain games were going to be big games, as far as group play, and like that's something I'm just not aware of. Like I'm not super locked in on. All right, is tonight a group game that's going to really matter, and as far as standings go in that sense? Do you maybe think that could be an issue?
No, I think that's a fair point. I didn't think about it that way. I was kind of thinking more like they're trying to sell that it's different, which it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're also trying to tell you that like these games are just regular season games, like in the grand scheme of like standings and whatnot. Yeah. So like it's kind of this like double-edged sword of like, hey, the players don't want to play extra games, right? And like soccer, when the Euros happen or the Champions League, like they just go and play extra games and they don't go fit about it. They also don't play 82 games in a 6-month span. But so I think maybe that's where the confusion is coming from. It's like this is different, but also it's not different because these games are just part of the regular season, which goes back to what Chris is saying is like, when are these games happening? Sometimes they're on Tuesdays, sometimes they're on Fridays, but it's not every Friday. Like you could play on a Friday and it could not be an in-season tournament game. So it's just it's a little convoluted. I think they'll make improvements to the group stage play going forward, but I don't know. The players seem to like it. I think that was probably the biggest concern, right? Was like, are the players going to find any value in this? And so far they seem to kind of be interested. So I think that's a win for the NBA.
Yeah, it's definitely good there. It's certainly something people are talking about. I'm paying attention. I know, like, I'm not always making sure I'm locked in on Wednesday night we're podcasting. So ESPN, I'm not watching the Wednesday night games, but on Tuesdays and Friday nights, I'm making sure I'm putting on the games and I'm like, all right, let me watch the in-season tournament. This is, kind of cool. So Definitely been
I'm putting on the games to see the courts. That's actually, I've been trying to follow because I want to see what the courts look like.
Yeah, true. The Bulls court in person was pretty sick. So I think
I think the courts probably look awesome in person. Just on TV, they're an eyesore, right?
Yeah, it is a little bit jarring at first, but in person it was kind of cool. Just like this huge red look, and it was it was kind of fun. But I was way up there in the bleeds, but it's fine.
The bleeds.
The bleeds. I'm
bleeding. I'm bleeding up here.
$200 for the bleeds.
Yep, with my my wife, and she was like, "This is scary. You need to hold me," because she felt like she was gonna fall into the court. It's a little bit steep.
Yeah, Kaylin won't do the bleeds because of that.
Yeah, it's rough.
She's high maintenance.
Yeah, Michelle said next time we're going lower.
I gave her courtside when we were like 10 years ago.
Aaron won't sit in the bleeds either because it's too high.
It's too high. Yeah, it's like it's kind of terrifying. I get it.
Actually, funny. All three of our wives don't want to sit in the bleed.
So if we ever go to a game all together, we got to go 100 level.
Yep.
I'm just gonna sweep.
I guess so.
All right. Well, the team that's making some more. Yep, that's what I'm waiting for. Blow it up. # blow it up. We'll get into that at some point. But the team that has been making waves, Chris's Minnesota Timberwolves, 2-0 in the IST, but also they're 8-2.
7-game winning streak. 8-2.
7-game winning streak. 8-2. One of the best records in the league. Number 1 defense. Chris,
by far, yes.
You're in and out. Yeah, by far. You're living, breathing up there in Minnesota. Does this feel real to you? Are you ready to say this is real? What are you thinking?
It's feeling realer by the game. I think yesterday was a huge statement win coming out of that brawl, the chokehold. You just gotta get, the fact that they were able to get through that and stand from Brandon Pomiski, whatever his name is.
Some guy, Brandon P.
That little firecracker of a dude had one eye like half the game and was still just dropping bombs on them. But being able to pull that win out, like Naz Reid even said after the game, that's not a win that we would have gotten last season. So seeing Gobert look like he got younger, looks like his defensive player of the year form has been reassuring and vindicating, because I was completely on board this trade when it happened last year, loudly, and
big man.
People didn't like it, and still maybe it was overpaid. We'll get to the 2028 first round pick when we get to it in 5 years. But I thought it was a better trade than Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland, and it's feeling really good right now. So right now I feel vindicated, even though it's only been 10 games into the second season.
Joey, how are you feeling? You're a little bit of an outsider here at this. I'm assuming you're not catching a ton of Minnesota games. I know I'm not locked in on Minnesota just yet. But how's it feeling to you, man? Are you looking at any kind of stats, statistical things, see what's going on, or what?
I didn't look a ton at the stats. When I actually so last night, after Chris informed us of the chokehold and rear naked chokehold, is that what they're calling it? I actually sat down today and watched this game again. It's like a WWE move up there with Draymond. But actually watched it again today, for the first time. And the thing I noticed the most out of this, and then I did a little bit of, I guess, snooping around, the two players that are most imperative to them, right? And Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns. In the game last night, you've got Cat, who I was 31 or 33 points or something like that. There was one shot from the top of the key, or the top of the 3-point arc, and he released it so quickly that it was just a confident look, and it was pretty late in the game. It was kind of like a dagger moment.
Yeah.
And just the swagger that they've kind of always had, that we always, I think Titus and I had made fun of in the past, is these guys walk around with so much swag, but they can't back it up. It kind of feels like Anthony Edwards is finally bringing the backup to the party. Yeah. I mean, he's talking smack like this whole brawl thing, right? It stemmed from
the
first game they had earlier in the week where Draymond and Anthony Edwards were talking shit to each other. But I mean, like Anthony Edwards, that dude's real, and like we saw it in FIBA, and now we're seeing it in like real time in the NBA. And I'm concerned as a non-Mavs fan or Timberwolves fan. Like I think they're going to do some damage. I think they're going to do some damage down the line.
Yeah, I'm not sold yet, and I will say I haven't really watched them. So I did some statistical research here. I looked at, I was like, let me see what this is looking like. So yeah, number one rated defense by a mile, like Chris said. I think it's like 4 points different than the next best team, Boston, I believe. But 23rd in offensive rating right now. That's going to be an issue, and I'll be watching that to see like if that starts to tick up and the defense stays where it's at. For sure, that's going to be a contender. But if you're not, if you're not a top 10 in an offense, you're not going to be a serious contender in my book.
What was the stat on? Did you have you posted a stat on that a while back, right?
Yeah.
The finals winners. I can't remember. Did they be top 10 in both?
I'm trying to remember. It's not necessarily, you don't necessarily need to be top 10 in both, but it's if you're outside of the top 10, in one of the categories, you basically have to be like an elite, like the number one defense, which they are, which is why I think it's still interesting. But it becomes one of those things where if you don't have it, that's such a weakness. And like it's basically not necessarily the weakness is them. For me, it's the strength of the rest of the league. So like right now, Boston is, in offense, defense, and net is 3-2-1. So like to me, that's a really good one. The Nuggets are 6-7-4. So 6 in offense, 7 in defense, and 4 in net. Sixers are 4 in offense, 9 in defense, and 2 in net. Wolves are 23-1-3. So
that's where heavy lifting to get.
Yeah, it's doing the heavy lifting. And then I do have some concerns about the way teams are shooting against them right now. So I was pulling up some stats. I found right now that the opponent's field goal attempts and 3-point attempts are both up from last year. Field goal attempts are up 2% or almost 3%, 2.7, and then 3-point attempts are up 8.8%. But their percentages are down 5%, almost 5.5% in each category, 5.3 and 5.4, which is a pretty low number. So right now they're giving up the lowest 3-point percentage in the league at like 31%. And I just don't know if that's going to stay there or not, especially because it's a difference of 5% from last year.
Regression, that's tough.
Yeah, like it might regress to the mean, and then all right, if teams start shooting a little bit better against them, does that elite defense now become sort of just a really strong defense, and then now a weak offense kind of maybe isn't enough there, but certainly interesting. I'm certainly gonna be watching that offensive rating for sure, and obviously gonna be watching Ant-Man. He's looking good.
They might get some more nationally televised games, especially with this start. I think there's some flexibility with that.
Yeah, that would be nice.
They should get flexed in because Anthony Edwards is. I remember last year I was saying how I was so hesitant to really bring it up. But I'm like, I really think Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels are kind of like the new MJ and Scotty.
Yeah,
and watching Jaden McDaniels against Boston just clamp up Jason Tatum the way he was able to clamp him up, especially in the key moments at the end. Well, Edwards at the end, but McDaniels throughout the game. It's just like this team is. I'm excited, and I think there's going to be a lot to be excited about.
That's the one thing that I noticed too. I'm kind of curious. So it does seem like the one issue I had is I think their window is this year, and just some of the stuff I was hearing about their payroll goes up in the next couple of years. It kind of becomes an issue, but
yeah,
Ant, Naz Reid, and Jaden McDaniels are all like 22 to 24, and then Cat is 28, Gobert's 32. So it's like a weird where I almost would rather have them just lean into that younger core, and let that build up and grow naturally, I think that's going to be really good in the next couple of years. But it just depends on what happens with Gobert and Cat.
It is nice though. At least we can have some fun right now. Hopefully,
Yeah.
But Walker Kessler was that other piece that could have been with Nas, Jaden, and Edwards, and that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been really good.
We got Gobert, I guess, and he's fine.
He's fine.
So, I don't know. I honestly believe there's some questions I have, so maybe we can get to that if we want to.
Yeah. What are questions you got?
Well, the one question I really like to ask is, and I know you guys are like, we're 10 games in, so I understand you're not locked into the Minnesota Timberwolves. But the question I'm going to ask, and I'll probably ask it again midway through the season, is this team closer to being the Houston Rockets of the early 2000s, 2010s with Harden going up against the Warriors all the time, or is this closer to the Gobert Utah Jazz teams where, like, hey, everyone knew they were going to win about 50-plus games, but nobody ever thought they were going to win a playoff series?
Yeah. For me right now, I think they're closer to the Jazz, but with a better version of Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion. But Gobert, he scares me, man. He really scares me.
Scares you as in
the playoffs? I think he gets played off the court.
Right. Okay.
And that's when it becomes an issue. Like I've seen it too many times with him. Joey, what do you think, man?
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. I think they're much closer to the Jazz. I think Anthony Edwards is much more aggressive and reliable version of Donovan Mitchell. The concern, I think that is you're spot on with Gobert is in the playoffs, he can get played off the court. I think we'll see, come mid-year, if you ask this question again, I could see it maybe starting to slide the other way, but for now, I think it's much closer to the Jazz and the Rockets.
Yeah.
The one of the biggest what ifs that never get brought up anymore. They always talk about how like Gordon Hayward, he got hurt when he landed in Boston, but what if he'd stayed in Utah? Right? It would have been Gordon Hayward, Donovan Mitchell, and Rudy Gobert. But now that what if can maybe be realized with Edwards, Jane McDaniels, and Gobert.
Yeah.
I think this team can do it. So
he believes.
And my favorite lineup, by the way, from them that they can run is Kyle Anderson, who's 6'10", Anthony Edwards at 6'5", but then Naz Reid at the 3 at 6'10" or 6'9". Then Towns at 7 foot at the 4, and then Rudy at 7'1" at the 5. It's stupid. It's stupid how big they ran Naz, Towns, and Gobert together. I don't know how many minutes they've done so far, but they've been doing that. So this team could be big, man. They got some big men.
They got some big men. That's the one thing that is going to be curious to me is, are they just going to be such a matchup problem, like the old school Memphis Grizzlies with the grit and grind Grizzlies, where they were just too big and too tough for some of these small ball teams,
man. Yeah, I remember they went up 2-1 against the Warriors, and it's like, oh shit, are they going to beat the Warriors? And then the Warriors just
I think the Warriors aren't a good matchup for them, or the Timberwolves are a bad matchup for the Warriors. They're a bad matchup for the Clippers. I mean, maybe Denver and LA kind of match up at least a little bit with some of their bigs if they're all healthy, but it's just like I think the Suns might have an issue with them. So it could be interesting. They could make the conference finals just because they're a matchup nightmare for people.
Right.
So certainly something to watch. All right, Joey. I kind of hinted a little bit at there. I think maybe at Chris's Coffin Corner, but go ahead and introduce us to this new segment.
Yes. Introduction of the Coffin Corner. So the Coffin Corner idea is an idea that you have that you're like super committed to. So think of like a player who just kind of like goes to the corner, gets kind of trapped there, gets the ball passed to him, and before they can like think their way out of getting out of the corner, they get double teamed and they get trapped in the corner. So it's an idea that like you kind of know you shouldn't be there, you kind of know you shouldn't be hanging on to the ball for this long, but the double team is already there and you just can't get yourself out of it. Yeah. So for example, my Coffin Corner thought for this week, which is I'm probably gonna have to get myself out of this one pretty damn quick. I'm gonna have to wake up from the dead. Is Zach LaVine, and to be fair, everybody who listens, I had this idea before today. This is not this is a thought that was developed like I don't know Monday, whatever it was, but My Coffin Corner thought is that Zach LaVine could be a. I can't even say it anymore.
It's creaking. The coffin's creaking open here.
Yeah, the Coffin's creaking open. Zach LaVine could be the number one on a winning Bulls team. Not any team, just a winning Bulls team.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Ooh.
Again, it's
That
the
is
idea that
some-
you know is wrong.
What do we call it
right?
when-
You kind of know you shouldn't be there, but I'm there.
He's there. You're in that coffin. What do you call it, Chris? What do you say?
Sorry, buddy. What do we call it when we I guess we just bury him, right? Like Ryan Reynolds in that movie Buried. Like you just Joey, he never sees the light.
Joey hasn't seen that.
I haven't seen that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think he's buried right now in his coffin with he's in the corner of and the two guys are on him, and he's Zach, help me out here, be the number one on a winning Bulls team. And right now he's calling timeout.
But I'm about to turn it over.
He's going to the bench.
Yeah.
He's about to turn it over.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. About to call a timeout or turn it over, 5-second call. But yeah, that's we'll get into it more next week or 2 weeks because there's going to be a lot more to talk about. But yeah. Again, I'm trapped. I am sucked in. I'm trapped in the Coffin Corner. That is.
Do we think we won't get into the trading scenarios, but do we think he's going to be traded in the next 2 weeks? Because I don't.
No, I don't. Yeah,
I think this is like a soft launch. Well, it's like a trade request. Like he's requesting it. It's like a soft. It's like what Dame was doing for a while. It's like I'm not asking for a trade, but I'm asking for a trade.
Yeah, I'm not asking for a trade. But
if you want to get me out of here, I'm okay with it. But I'm not asking.
I'm not asking. But I'm here. I'm a bull.
Nobody wants to be the bad guy.
Yeah. Chris, you got a Coffin Corner? Something you're sticking to?
Mine is still, and I'm gonna hang on to it for a while. Is my Gobert being a viable option in the playoffs? And I'm gonna track this one because I want to see, his minutes during the clutch time in those games. And hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that means that the Timberwolves have to win with Nasri and Towns on the floor, which they totally still can. Let's go Wolves. This team can win multiple ways. They're flexible. It's great. They're deep.
They're deep.
But no, I genuinely still believe that Gobert can be a strong option in the playoffs. I saw Robert Williams, who can't shoot a three, do well in the playoffs. I saw Kevin Looney do it. I know Kevin Looney had two of the best shooters of all time with him, but
this guy's pulling the lid down. He's pulling the lid down. The nails are being put in.
We only have how many 10 years of to look back that Gobert is not produced in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But so isn't Joel Embiid. So maybe I should talk to a Sixers fan that still believes in Joel Embiid, and then they can't laugh at me for believing in Gobert. So
I don't know, slightly different there, but yes. My Coffin Corner, and this is another one. I'm in the corner. I might be calling time out here. Memphis, and I still feel like when Ja comes back that they're gonna make some sort of a push.
You had this take last.
I'm just waiting for Ja. I'm just like when Ja comes back, and it just now I'm like that meme of like the clown makeup. You know what I mean? Like I think who's who got Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart's gonna help him get through the non-Ja games. When Ja comes back, I put the lipstick on. That's what I am right now. I'm the clown meme. Waiting
Marcus
for this.
Smart. Did you guys see him?
Ja to come out.
Did you see him at the other night? He had the heads up play to the ball came to the ground. He knocked it to the guy at the corner. The guy hit the three. And they're calling a really heady play by Marcus Smart. The problem is with that Marcus Smart play is that he was dribbling the ball up the court and just does not have a ball handle, and the guy can just rip it from him whenever they want. And it's just most of the time Marcus Smart is turning the ball over, and he just happened to be scrappy and save at that time. So I don't know. I'm completely out. We can bury you two guys now. I'm gonna wait 6 months,
6 months
or 4 months, whatever.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm sort of like I'm banging on the top of the coffin, just shaking the dirt off. I'm like, I need to get out of this. This is a bad idea. But
what would be vindicating for you though is if the Grizzlies go 30-20 in Ja's 50 games. That's vindication. I don't think that's happening, but you know.
Yeah, who knows? We don't know until Ja comes back. That's all I'm saying. 25 games. I know, man. I gotta let this go. I think I just gotta let the whole Memphis thing go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think me and you just need to call timeout and sub ourselves out.
Sub ourselves out. Just
Chris
get me, coach.
is about to jack up like a corner prayer with his back to the basket. That's where he's at. But he still has some hope.
He's got some hope. Like maybe it goes in.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Maybe.
You're saying there's a chance.
Yes.
I'm not. No, Gobert will be on the bench in round 2. All right. Great new segment. Love it. We'll see what else we can get in the Coffin Corner. If you guys got a Coffin Corner, something you're holding on to. If Jordan's better than LeBron, something like that. Just kidding. I'm sorry. All right. Well, that is it for us today. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We're going to take off for Thanksgiving, so spend it with their fams, eating turkey. And then we'll come back with some Bulls takes, maybe some Thanksgiving wrap up. Who knows? More IST talk. We don't know. We'll see if it gets any juicier. So that is it for us today. Follow us on the social media at the Box Out Boys. Slide on those DMs. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on YouTube and Spotify. We very much appreciate that. So until next time, Box Out. Uh-oh. Who's hitting it twice? Is it me?